Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnava devotees. As usual, we thank you all for being here today. And we are grateful that we have His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu speaking to us today. SARVATMA Prabhu needs no introduction. He's been kind and generous to us by visiting us quite regularly to share his love and wisdom with us also. Shri SARVATMA Prabhu, we may put the verse on the screen and you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. I think we have 2 verses to cover today.
Correct.
Yes. So we'll put it up here. All right, Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistuki Vanchakalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhuveva Cha Patitanam Pavanavyo Vaishnavavyo Namo Namaha. Okay, 3rd canto, chapter 12, verse number 48. Shabda Brahmatmanastasya Vyakta Vyaktat Manapara Brahmavabhati Vitato Nana Shakti Upabrimhita. Let's go to the translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the source of transcendental sound and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. Brahma is the complete form of the Absolute Truth and is invested with multifarious energies. Purport. The post of Brahma is the highest responsible post within the universe, and it is offered to the most perfect personality of the universe. Sometimes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has to become Brahma when there is no suitable living being to occupy the post. In the material world, Brahma is the complete representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transcendental sound, pranava, comes from him. He is therefore invested with multifarious energies, from which all the demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are manifested. His transcendental value is not to be minimized, even though he exhibited a tendency to enjoy his own daughter. There is a purpose for the exhibition of such a tendency by Brahma, and he is not to be condemned like an ordinary living entity. Let's go to the next verse. Tato parampadhyaya sasargaya manodade. Thereafter, Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in a matter of further creation. Purport. In his former body, which was transcendental, affection for sex life was forbidden, and Brahma therefore had to accept another body to allow himself to be connected with sex. He thus engaged himself in a matter of creation. His former body transformed into fog, as previously described. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurumilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Nangayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurundina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram. So here is a description of Lord Brahma, as we imagine. I don't know, we think of Lord Brahma as just another living entity that has been given the responsibility of creating and managing universal affairs, creating progeny like demigods and all other beings, animals, plants, basically everything, the movements of the planets, the atmosphere, uh, everything, mental, uh, intellectual facilities, mental problems, everything that you can think of is all a product of Lord Brahma's creation. He is truly empowered to create living entities and then give them the facility to live in this very strange atmosphere, because we are spiritual souls. So everything that we experience here is kind of a weird takeoff. It's like a fake, like someone who is an artist, but instead of painting his own paintings, he dedicates himself to forge masterpieces. It's just creating almost perfect works of art that will fool not just consumers, but even critics. They actually, there's been cases of people like that they will actually take Rembrandt or Van Gogh or Monet and just create a identical painting to that. And they know what they deal with. They know that this. It's not that they will make another Mona Lisa. They know the Mona Lisa hangs in the Louvre in Paris, so they won't paint another one, but they will paint something, some painting that it was stolen from a museum or was missing or something, to fool the public, So interestingly, in my humble opinion, Lord Brahma has a similar job to create a forge spiritual world in the material world, that people think all sorts of things that they are not true. They just buy it, hook, line, and sinker. They'll buy their fake identity. They take the body to be the self. They think their family is their true family forever, that blood lineage equals eternal companionship. This is, that's why when John and Yoko asked Prabhupada if they could be, if there is such a thing as like a relationship in the world that goes forever, like she said to Prabhupada, we would like to be together forever. And Prabhupada dismissed this as that's foolish. That's not possible. That's not possible. So this world that we live in is like a deal gone wrong, and we have a hard time waking up from it. You bought a painting, it looks like a masterpiece, you pay full price, or you pay less than full price. Let's say a Monet will go for 10 to $100 million, and you paid $100,000. So you think you really got a bargain, but you actually got cheated. So even though we may think, oh, we have a wonderful life here, and this is my life. This is who I am. This is my family. These are my friends. This is my country. This is the best country in the world. It's the best family in the world. I'm the best person I know. All these crazy illusions that are caused by the master forger, Lord Brahma. He created all this, and he sold us the Bill of Rights. He sold us, like people have bought the Brooklyn Bridge more than once. People have been sold the Brooklyn Bridge by some con artist. So we all bought the Brooklyn Bridge, really, thinking this is me, this is my life. This is all wrong, and we owe this to Lord Brahma, who is an incredibly meticulous artist. He created all of this. So it's very difficult to convince anyone, that this is not their life, that this is not who they are. Like even devotees, even Krishna devotees, that they have certain flaws in their character because they are either too aggressive or too gullible or too they're compassionate with the wrong people, or they are harsh with the wrong people. They basically when they are told, no, you should not do this. This is not good for you. This is not good for them either. Like spoiling a child, like a child that you love, that you just give too much liberty when they are not ready to carry it responsibly. And they say, well, I do it out of love. Yeah, but ignorance can come out of love, that kind of love. So sometimes we make mistakes. And when you point it out, when somebody points it out, devotees complain, no, this is how I am. No, this is not how you are. This is just an additional feature of this illusory impersonation that you're carrying on life after life, thinking that you are who you are not. So it's very difficult to break through. This is the false ego. This is the last barrier. It's so thick. It's the body, we somehow or other, when we heard the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, we mostly understood like the hinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara. We know that the body changes, but the person remains. We could understand this, and we could project that at the time of death, that person will continue to exist, even though the body doesn't. We may have understood that. In practice, we haven't, because we're very attached to this body. And then we may have understood that the mind is also a separate energy, that we are not the mind. The mind changes constantly, is whimsical, is irrational, sometimes is a friend, many times is an enemy. So who is this? This is an energy, which is not us. The mind is like a TV screen where things are projected, but they're not real. They're not real. It's just like if you see scenes on TV, they're showing the scenes of a war, a fratricidal war, a civil war somewhere, or people dancing on TV, and you just grab a hammer and destroy the TV. That doesn't end the war, nor stops the people from dancing. They're not there. This is just a projection. So the mind is just a projection of our desires, both good and bad. So we are not that. We're not that. It's just a recipient. So, I mean, yeah, because the mind convinces you. The mind is like a great use auto sales person. that tries to convince you of crazy things. Like, yeah, this is great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's cheap. It works. So convinces you to make bad decisions. And the intelligence is a witness of all this nonsense going on. That's the intelligence is, Prabhupada said, it's like this with a super soul right next to it. And the intelligence makes us, it pays attention to what we are doing and tries to give good counsel, but it's ultimately to us to decide. And the false ego, that is a tough one. The false ego convince you to decide, in what direction to go. And there is a real ego, and the real ego is already, we try to practice, let's say, humility and tolerance and so on. But the false ego it doesn't really like those kind of things. That's not the food that the false ego feeds by. False ego is actually trying to ruin us, to creates an image that makes us feel that we have to protect in order to be whole, in order to be integral. But this is not our identity. So all these inferior energies that they are floating right in front of our eyes and our mind, and is actually is a false identity. Is the work of Lord Brahma. That's how good of an engineer he is. He actually creates all these multifarious varieties of objects and subjects that are meant to keep us in darkness and make us believe that we can be happy here. That takes some convincing. It's like Jack in the Box, right? You open the box, and a spring with a boxing glove comes in and punches you in the nose. And then you just put it back together, and moments later you forget what just happened, and you open it again and you get punched in the nose. So this is how living in the material world is. You stay long enough, and then you forget about how much you suffer here. Suffering is certainly available in every form. Every species of life has something in common, that they're suffering. They're suffering either from physical suffering due to adhyatmika, the miseries that come from our body and our minds, our ego, or adhibhautika from others. We know how difficult it is to live with other people and even other creatures. We have right now, it seems like everybody's sick. So can anybody see the cause of this sickness? No, you need a microscope to even see why you're so miserable. So a creature that can't even be seen with a naked eye is making everybody miserable. So there is plenty of facility for us to suffer, even if it is not visible. It's not like if there is a rhinoceros coming your way, then or a crocodile, then you can see it's coming, so you better run or better climb a tree or something. So now, just walking around, all you have to do is walk around, go to the wrong place, meet the wrong person, and you get sick and you're miserable. And then there is adhidavika. There's earthquakes and floods and fires and you name it. There is tsunamis, there is too much heat, not enough rain. There's so many miseries. Again, this is all Lord Brahma. What a job. What a job does he have? Of course, he's not exactly coordinating every effort, He just basically makes it and gets it going. But it requires an incredible intelligence. And sometimes, so this post of Lord Brahma, I read somewhere and I heard the devotee say that the first body that one takes coming when he's ejected, and I used this word properly, ejected from the spiritual world due to our own misfortune of misunderstanding, the first body that the living entity takes is the body of Lord Brahma. But I'm not sure about that. And how, and it's a tough job. It's a very tough job to do that. Like, yeah, people don't even want to be temple president or in charge of a kitchen. They don't want this responsibility. It's just too much. But then you're all of a sudden you're Lord Brahma. You have to deal with all this other stuff. Of course, sometimes Krishna himself is the one who does that. He takes the post of Lord Brahma because there is no qualified living entity, and that's not hard to ascertain. Obviously, one needs, the universe needs someone extremely qualified. It's not like being, just to use the example, a temple president, that you may not be qualified, but you're the only one available, the only one without a job, or because you're good at doing stuff, you get the post, whatever it is. And in the universe, they need a little more than that. And Lord Brahma, in his transcendental body, this particular incident happened to a Lord Brahma that didn't have a material body and became attracted to his own daughter. Nothing was actually performed, nothing physical took place. It was just a mental, just a thought, really, tendency that appeared. But because in being in a transcendental body, there's no room for this discrepancy. He wanted to see the incarnation of Mohini Murti. He missed the incarnation. And Krishna smiled, and he didn't smile like, haha. He smiled like, really? You really want that? And Lord Shiva said, yeah, I want to see the Mohini Murti. And of course, we know what happened. He became completely bewildered and shameful in front of his wife. He ran after Mohini Murti, and he just couldn't think of anything else. But even though he discharged semen, of course, Lord Shiva's, again, is a special living entity. Wherever his semen was discharged, there was gold appear, mines of gold. And he wasn't ashamed. Interesting. Lord Brahma was so ashamed that he gave up his body. Lord Shiva, he kind of collected himself and went on with his life. And interestingly enough, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, was pleased with Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva knew that only the internal energy could bewilder him, whereas Lord Brahma was covered by the external energy, not the internal energy. So Lord Shiva had a very good excuse. Yeah, Krishna cheated me. But Lord Brahma didn't have an excuse like that. So there is a difference there. So there is a verse, the verse before the verses that we read, verse 47, that he says Brahma's soul is manifested as the touch alphabets, his body as the vowels, his senses as the sibilant alphabets, his strength as the intermediate alphabets, and his sensual activities as the seventh notes of music. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said all the musical notes are sa, re, ga, ma, da, ni. All these sound vibrations are originally called Shabda Brahma, or spiritual sound. It is said, therefore, that Brahma was created in the Mahakalpa as the incarnation of spiritual sound. The Vedas are spiritual sound, and therefore there is no need to material interpretation for the sound vibration of a Vedic literature. The Vedas should be vibrated as they are, although they are symbolically represented with letters, which are known to us materially. In the ultimate issue, there is nothing material because everything has its origin in the spiritual world. Material manifestation is therefore called illusion in the proper sense of the term. For those who are realized souls, there is nothing but spirit. So the sound, as it's explained in the verses that we read, the pranava, omkara, the om sound, came from the spiritual Lord Brahma. I mean, it's Krishna. It's a representation. It's Krishna. It's this Krishna himself in sound. And the Maha Mantra is even more intimate sound. Even the Bible says that in the beginning that was the Word, and the Word was God. That means what word? What word? The word itself, the sound, spiritual sound of Om Krishna. So we connect with our real identity by means of sound, because the sound Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. This sound vibration comes directly from Goloka. Golokera Premadana. Prema, the love from Goloka. Harinama Sankirtana is present in the vibration of the name, and particularly the name of Krishna. There is no harm. There is no harm in saying or reciting or praying to any other names of God. There's no harm at all. It's actually, as Sahadev Prabhu posted a quote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that I'm most familiar with, that we should actually enjoy admiring other people worshiping Krishna in different ways. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually addressed this point as in saying that the Buddhists are actually Vaishnavas. And that, you scratch your head, what is that about? But actually, he finished the sentence. That wasn't the full sentence. He said, if they follow the codes of the Vaishnavas and understand that Krishna is supreme, of course, just so basically, because of a vision of Paramahamsa, he sees that everybody is a Vaishnava. Ultimately, in the ultimate sense, it is true. Everybody's a Vaishnava because we're all part and parcel of Krishna. So what are the parts and parcels of Krishna called? They're called Vaishnavas. The Gopis are Vaishnavas. Yasodas are Vaishnava. The Buddhists are Vaishnavas. The atheists are Vaishnavas. Everybody's a Vaishnava in different degrees of separation and forgetfulness. So otherwise, what would be the point of teaching Krishna consciousness to anybody if they are not originally Krishna conscious? Why do we want to impose our viewpoint, our perspective on anybody unless they have that perspective, but they've forgotten about it? There will be no point. We'll be fanatics. Like a Jew trying to make a Muslim become a Jew, and a Muslim trying to impress a Christian that worshiping Allah is the only way. So we will be saying, no, chant Hare Krishna is the only way. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If all of these statements were true simultaneously, then it will make no sense. It will be just a sectarian, divisive method to get people on our camp. It's like you want, you want everybody to chip in. But no, actually, everybody's a Vaishnava. There are different degrees of forgetfulness. And some people, like most people in the material world, they don't want to be woken up. They want to practice whatever they practice. That's what they say. That's the way I am, because they don't want to be bothered. So I am a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, a Jew. I'm black, I'm white, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm young, I'm old, I'm Japanese, I'm from Mongolia. All this stuff that floats around is simply distractions to the fact that we are actually Vaishnavas. So are we Vaishnavas right now? In the making, and different degrees of remembrance. And Krishna says, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So all of them are important, not just knowledge, not just remembrance. Forgetfulness is very important. Forgetfulness is what actually carries us through. Because if you think of your life, this life, and all the possessions, attachments, traumas, everything that you've been, being actually develop your personality in a certain way, all these things that we have been collecting in this lifetime. If we have to carry them over, that means we have to take another body, whatever body that is. So this is not a good deal. So Krishna creates forgetfulness, so we actually can shed all this stuff. And for those who are very romantic and think, oh, I wish I could remember my previous lives, they even actually go to psychotherapists and hypnotists to try to remember previous lives. This is actually more harmful than good. Because if you remember your previous lives, you will also remember your attachments and your traumas and everything else that comes with it. So at the time of leaving this body, good luck to you. If you can remember your previous 200 lives, you will remember a lot of trauma and a lot of attachments and a lot of family and a lot of links and a lot of friends and a lot of things that you suffer and you lost. So Krishna gives us forgetfulness, so we don't have that kind of issue. We can barely remember stuff from this lifetime, and at the end of our stay in this body, we can actually give all that up and say, okay, I had enough. I don't need any more of this. My real identity is I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm reforming my identity as a Vaishnava. And that's all you need to know. And that's enough. That's the ticket back. But we have to want it. We have to want it. So Lord Brahma, with the help of Maya, created this network of illusion, the matrix, where everybody's hooked up into a feeding tube of misinformation and dreaming of a life that they are not really experiencing. Because this is a blip in the scope of eternity, just a moment. It's very difficult to get out. It's very difficult to wake up. And it's very difficult to stay awake because we cannot take it for granted. We have to count our blessings that right now I remember vaguely who I am in reality and why should it be a given that I will actually, today I'm practicing Krishna consciousness. What's a guarantee that in 5 weeks or 5 years, I'm going to be practicing Krishna consciousness? We have to be careful of the many pitfalls that may take place, that we make make wrong decisions, take the wrong turn, again, misidentify, and not willing to change, not willing to reshape our false ego into a real working ego, which is that you're a servant of Krishna no matter what. No matter what. It doesn't matter how much trauma or difficulty you may have, you're always a servant of Krishna. Everything else comes and goes. This is the factor that stays, that is constant. So we have these certain desires, and the desires are permanent. Yeah, desire is permanent, but the object of desire changes. So we have to make Krishna the object of our desire, because we always have to deal with desire. So when Krishna becomes this sole object of our desire, that's when we become Vaishnavas. Meanwhile, we are just practicing. We're just kids learning how to read, write, how to walk. And we are trying to help each other remember this thing. So again, knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. All of them, very important. So we should pray. This is a very important activity that is probably not given enough emphasis in our movement. Praying also means introspection. Because when you pray, you actually revisit the things that you need to work on. Otherwise, what does introspection mean? That you have certain characteristics that are not up to par, and you're aware of that. That's it. No, you remove them by prayer and by practice. So all these processes of bhakti, all 9 processes of bhakti, are necessary. Of course, we put emphasis in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, because they're the principal ones. They're the ones that actually bring us to a proper consciousness. But all the other aspects are important. And becoming friends with Krishna, that's one of them. So how do you practice for that one? Well, you have to become friends with Krishna's friends, the Vaishnavas. That's how you practice for Krishna. And you have to see the deities as your benefactors, not some, empower statues that will grant you some benediction or that is nice to look at. You have to see Krishna is in your life constantly. He's paying attention. He's with you at all times. Never goes away. As Paramatma or personally. Krishna never goes away, no matter what you do. And there is no friend better than a friend like that. You may have a disagreement with a friend, and you may not be friends for a while, or you don't want to talk to them, or there are some issues or clashes, etc., etc. With Krishna, there is never something like that. No matter what you do, no matter how shameful, like Lord Brahma, or ridiculous, like Lord Shiva, he was warned by Krishna's smile. He should have known. No, that's not something I should ask for, seeing Mohini Murti. But Krishna never goes away. Krishna is always present in our lives. It's up to us to acknowledge that and to make him our friend. He's our friend. We just have to become friendly to Krishna and eventually becoming a friend. That we cannot live without Krishna. Just like Lord Chaitanya in his last few years, in where he barely, if ever, left the Gundicha. I know the Gundicha, the Gambira in Jagannath Puri. He couldn't live. He just couldn't conceive of living without Krishna in separation. We are separated from Krishna, at least in consciousness, and we are fine. So that's wrong. Sorry to give you the bad news. It's actually good news too. We are doing just dandy, extraordinary. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. Really? You became a pure devotee? No, but I have other things going for myself. No, you have nothing. You have nothing. Until you become a pure devotee, you really have nothing. Because we can see great devotees, they cannot live a moment without Krishna. Whether they are with him or without, they cannot live a moment without Krishna. And we are doing fine without Krishna. We remember Krishna here and there. We have some knowledge of Krishna here and there, but mostly we have forgetfulness. Yeah. So now we should turn the forgetfulness towards the things that are actually a ballast, unnecessary luggage that we carry with us. We go to Europe usually every summer for different kirtan festivals to give classes, seminars, things like that. And unfortunately, we forget every year we overpack. We take too much stuff with us. And every year we suffer carrying luggage across countries into airplanes and airports and upstairs. We were staying in a place in Bulgaria last July, August. And they gave us a very nice apartment on the fourth floor of a building. On the fourth floor. We are old people. We had to carry suitcases up 4 floors. Of course, we only carried the first day and the last day going down. But meanwhile, we had to go every time we went to breakfast or lunch or kirtan or anything, we had to go 4 floors down and then 4 floors up. So this is what we do in the material world. We just forget how heavy the luggage of carrying a material body is, and we are willing to do it again and again. Just like we go to Europe as if nothing, we forgot completely about last year that we carry also too many clothes, too many this, too many that, and pay the consequences. So let's make a deal that, okay, I'm tired of carrying around this material body, which is becoming very obsolete. Like imagine if you're driving a car, you don't have any type of illusions, even if you just come out of a dealership where you just come out of the parking lot, you just bought a car, 0 miles in it, brand spanking new. If you have even a two-digit IQ, you will know that that car won't last your lifetime. Won't last even half of it, even 25 years is a push. You drive a car for 25 years. It's going to break down and the resale value will go down and you will have to spend thousands of dollars at a mechanic and change the tires and align the car and change the oil and do so many things to the car. So, and eventually you got to get rid of it. You're not going to keep, unless you're like one of these people that love to have broken cars in their front yard. So let's just make a deal that I'm gonna take care of this car. I'm gonna take care of this vehicle, and I'm gonna change the oil regularly and change the air filter and keep it in shape and keep it clean and all this stuff. So that's what you do with the body, but don't get any illusions that this is going to be your life forever and you're going to be fine. We need to prepare for the, it's not inevitable. It is inevitable because the, the demise of the body is inevitable, but we know it's coming. So even Lord Brahma, he lives 311 trillion years plus, like 80 million years more. That's a long lifespan, if you ask me. People, they tell me, "Oh, may you live to be 100." I tell them, "No, please, I don't want that. Staying 100 years in one body, it's crazy. Yeah, that may be the allotted maximum for Kali Yuga, but I don't want it. I don't want it at all. So let's, even Lord Brahma knows, one day the end will come. Everybody, the end will come, and we will have to jump ship and leave everything behind. If you're in a Titanic, you shouldn't be worried about, a picture album, jewelry, nice clothes. We are all in the Titanic. Well, how does that sound? We're about to hit the iceberg, and whatever you have, it's not gonna help you. Not only not gonna help you, it's gonna make it. It's not gonna help you be buoyant. So you're gonna actually drown. Whatever you take is gonna bring you deeper and deeper into the waters. So it's time to say goodbye to all those things that we so much enjoy, like the body, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego. It's not like you renounce them, you just exchange them for better ones. That's what a spiritual body is. Much better. It will never decay. The mind will never betray, or the intelligence will never fail. And the ego will only ask for Krishna. And the reward is like, you don't have to search for pleasure. You are already enjoying bliss. It comes with the territory. Here we get a body which is miserable, and we are searching for pleasure. In a spiritual body, there is no need. Everything is included. It's a great package deal. We should take it. So, on that note, about the last switcheroo of a living entity, that now that we are in a human form of life, which is very rare, we may not think it's so rare because there's so many humans. But if you go outside, if you have a garden and there is an anthill, there are probably more ants there than there are humans in the planet. So yes, humans are very rare. Human bodies are very rare. And it's not worth it to spend time in a human body if one doesn't use it properly. For the purpose is self-realization. And most people are not interested in self-realization. And we should associate with people that are interested in self-realization, which are not that many. There are very few humans in the planet compared to other forms of life. And of those humans, very few are dedicated to self-realization. Out of those few, very few are actually serious about it. And of those serious ones, we may not have access to many either, but we have to find them. We have to help each other and find good association and give association to the less fortunate. Because actually, you can be all humble and modest and bashful and thinking, "Oh, I'm so fallen," but there are actually people that are more fallen than you. So those should receive help from you. And that's most of the planet, by the way. So it's not a small task. All right, let's stop here. Enough is enough.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. It's great, SARVATMA PRABHU. Of course, as always, wonderful Krishna Katha. Since it's wonderful, that also means that there are lots of questions, because certain statements you made, certain references you made may require some sort of elaboration. So, dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, reflections you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to share your reflections or ask your questions. The first question I have, Prabhuji, is, of course, thank you so much for sharing this Krishna Katha with us. The first question I have is a bit complex because I'm always imagining something. In order for one to become aware of his real nature, because if I go to work as a police officer and I know what my purpose is to serve the public. Once I know that, then I will be able to serve the public. If I do not know that, then I will not be able to serve the public. So my question deals with awareness and conditioning. Some of us are conditioned to thinking that this material life we're living is the all in all. This is who I am. When I die, everything is gone. I'm finished. I have to make as much possible use of what is available to me to enjoy my senses. I'm conditioned to thinking and feeling and acting in this way. So how do I get out of this conditioning to become really aware of my real identity? Like you were giving lots of examples, analogies. I think yesterday, there are some people, they enjoy, I think 2-3 days ago when Yashudev spoke, some people enjoy eating the identification of other animals. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about it. I said, how does that make sense? But these people, they enjoy it. And if I should tell them, hey, don't do that, it's not nice, how they're going to think of me like, it's like there's something wrong with me. So the bottom line of my question is, how do we become aware of our real self when we are being conditioned to think and act as the life we're living now is the all in all?
We are all conditioned. There is no one in this material world that is not conditioned. Even advanced devotees are also conditioned in a certain way. So the process of bhakti, as I was explaining, hearing, chanting, remembering, these are the first steps you have to take in order to break this identification, which is so deep, goes so deep, and is very difficult to overcome because of habit. I used to coach table tennis for many years. So I had quite a few students, and I always, I was encouraging and try to improve upon their base, whatever they had, and I always said it's a lot easier to teach someone who doesn't know anything than to teach someone who knows something, because then I have to do reverse engineering. I have to actually help them to forget what they know and relearn everything. So I never rejected a student except for once. And the guy was not a beginner. He was an intermediate player. And he had such bad habits that you could not improve over what he had. So he was a fair player. He could beat certain players, but he couldn't go past that. So in order to, he could not improve. He could not build. The foundation was bad. So he could not put anything on top of that foundation. So after 3 lessons, I told him, you're wasting your money and energy, and so am I, because obviously you cannot learn. You have to actually relearn. You have to forget what, and you refuse to do it. Just you're mechanically conditioned and mentally conditioned, and you cannot break these habits. So it depends on you. It doesn't depend on me at this point. You have to break these habits. So we are, to a certain extent, like that student sometimes in certain aspects of our life, that we are actually conditioned to the point that we think that we could get better, even though you cannot put anything on top of that. So we have to break our conditioning and admit, like any devotee thinks, I have certain degree of advancement. So how would you like to find out that you don't? You're not advanced. You're actually a neophyte. You never left the Kanishta platform. You think, well, but I've been chanting, I've been studying, I've been doing service, I've been doing this and that. How would you like to find out that that didn't move you very much because of your bad habits? Prabhupada gave the example of carrying a pot with a hole in it. You can fill it up with water, but you have to transverse a certain distance and eventually the water will leak out. So we have been conditioned to the point that we leak and we don't want to admit it. We don't want to just, okay, I'll go back and get some more water. No, you have to fix the leaks. Otherwise, it will be, many trips and no result, no positive result, very little. So conditioning is a very difficult thing to overcome because we have attachment. We have we invested. It's like you make a bad investment, and is hard to accept that, when you lose the money, hard to accept that it was your fault because you made the investment. So we invested in this personality that we developed. We put our heart and soul into creating an image of ourselves and projecting what we think is, our life and our persona. And it isn't. We have to sometimes, start from scratch. Like I wrote a book, right? Well, guess what I'm doing now? I'm rewriting it. I went back to the beginning and I just cross and scratch and change a bunch of stuff because I can finally see, okay, this wasn't good. I had to be pointed out to me. I mean, I knew there was something wrong. It didn't flow right, whatever. And there was too much stereotype and all that. But somehow or other, you have to put the work. You have to go and, as painful as it is, just things that you thought yourself to be a genius because you wrote them, you came up with them, and they're stupid and useless. So get rid of that and don't be attached. So in our conditioning, we fail to see, because of attachment, we fail to see where we have to work, where are the leaks. And sometimes we see them, like when you chant your rounds, and you finally you got to 16, and in the back of your mind, those weren't good rounds. Those weren't good, really. But I have to live with that. It's not like you finish your 16 rounds and you say, well, out of those 16 rounds, I think I chanted 4 mantras that they're worth keeping. So I should start over. I should chant 16 more minus 4 mantras because that's the only credit that I have. But you're not going to do it. So if we're willing to work and rewrite our life, then we'll make advancement. And if not, then we will make slow advancement. We mostly depend on mercy, not on skills of sincerity. And sincerity is a big part of Krishna consciousness. We have to actually, that's what they say, that the greatest profit one can get is to buy a person for what they're worth and sell them for what they think they're worth, because it's a huge gap. So we project to be a person that we are not, and we overlook defects and inabilities and things that we do, and we'll leave it that. We're just used to it. So don't expect to make much advancement or be too happy with your own life if you don't look at it in detail and are willing to be flexible and change that. That's what I have to say about your question. I hope you're satisfied to some degree.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm satisfied to some degree. You put it the right way, some degree. Like Srila Prabhupada would say, it's a very important statement. And we want to formally register our warmest dandavats to His Grace Shriman Mukunda Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hari Bol,
So much.
Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. So good to have the association.
Yeah, I was listening on YouTube actually, but the sound was going in and out. It probably was my internet connection or something.
Okay. Well, it's better you are here instead of being on YouTube. Yeah.
No, I couldn't find the hand raise emoji. This is my technical ignorance here.
Oh, you could use your natural hand.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you have something to say or to ask, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm not sure if I missed it perhaps regarding Brahma being attracted to his daughter. I heard part of it in the course of the class, and I think it may have been some verses previous that was just reiterated or brought up. I was always curious about that, and I had some years ago done some research, and a couple of things are really good to understand. One is that this was not the Brahma who's the head of our Sampradaya. So it mentions, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur mentions it happened in a previous kalpa by a Brahma. But Marichi was bringing it up as a point of information that, and in a friendly way, because in the verse it mentions Vishrambhat means in a friendly way, not to criticize, but to bring up the fact of the danger of being attracted to especially Vakdevi. So Vakdevi means the form of the goddess of speech. So in the Kram Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami then mentions that what happened was that the Vedas, they manifest from Lord Brahma, and the Vedas take a form. And then he mentions that in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 1034, it mentions there, Kriti Shri Vakcha Narinam, that the Vak, or Brahma's daughter, and speech itself are of a feminine quality. So Brahma became bewildered by the intelligence coming from the Vedas. So Jiva Goswami is giving the warning that if we become too enamored by our ability to speak knowledge and all of these things, it is equated with the fact that Brahma became attracted to his daughter named Vak. So, and of course, from pride arises subtle sex life. So he was saying that if a person who is being able to speak the Vedas, very learned, I know in India I've met many people who they know, even young children, they know the Vedas by heart. And you have some people who pride themselves in being very learned. And he's saying this is a very dangerous thing because if knowledge is not used in the service of Krishna and Trenada Pisu Nietzsche, humility is not developed, then one develops subtle sex life. So this was the lesson to be learned from Brahma's attraction to Vakdevi. So it was really wonderful when I researched it, because I was always bewildered. Well, wait a minute, Brahma's the head of all Sampradaya for one. How can he become bewildered by such a thing? And we say he's the sort of original guru person in our line. So then, of course, it mentions, first of all, it's a Brahma from another Kalpa, but then it mentions even that Brahma, it was his attraction to his over intelligence in the form of speech because the Vedas manifested from him. So I just wanted to add that in.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that. His Grace SARVATMA Prabhu, do you have something to say in this regard?
That will not be that will be a disservice, because I was thinking he was talking about me, that I should not say anything just because I will be enamored of my own voice and my own rationale. Well, I'll shut up.
Well, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, I always appreciate your sense of humor. Like Shriman Mukunda Prabhu just said.
I wish it was funny.
Yes, very fine humor. Thank Krishna. We're trying to study the Srimad Bhagavatam in a chronological order. So we just read that, I think about a week ago. And I would like to put it up here on the screen, where Srila Prabhupada states, of course, the verse itself says vak, which is vacham. I don't understand Sanskrit, but I know vacha is speech, like Shukadevu vacha, Narada vacha, the Supreme Personality of God said. So here, Srila Prabhupada translates vacham as vak, because there was a manifestation. And it says, oh, Vidura, we've heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body and who attracted his mind toward sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains why this case is very relevant to us, that the sex urge, the sex desire is so strong that no matter how strong you think you are, you could become a victim. So, of course, this is a question I'm asking. To me, I think it is a pastime for us to understand how powerful this strong desire is. That it could happen to Lord Brahma, the supreme architect of the material creation, material universe himself. So what to speak of me? And Srila Prabhupada actually goes ahead and then speaks like that. And again, Srila Prabhupada explains that this particular incident took place in a different kalpa. Here, this extraordinary immorality on the part of Brahma was heard to have occurred in some particular kalpa, but it could not have happened in the kalpa in which Brahma heard directly from the Lord, the four essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So yes, Srila Prabhupada explains that this incident took place in a different kalpa. That is my little recollection in this pastime.
I see that some examples will happen in our lifetime, quite similar. As you said, this is a message, this is an instruction, mostly to us, to see that no one except for the Lord is infallible, that we can all be caught in the trap of illusory energy. Prabhupada said Maya is insurmountable. She's the most powerful. There's no way. What we call the war with Maya, she could win in a second. She already won. She has us under her finger at any time. It's only by taking shelter of Krishna, who is infallible, that we can have any chances. Like we say, oh, I heard a Swami, he's over 80 years old and he's now getting married. And then there is a guru who has cognitive problems. This is our test. It's not their test. They have done their service. They have been loyal to the society. And the test is for the disciples. The test is for the well-wishers. Like, are we going to abandon these people just because they couldn't live up to a certain standard, which is actually so high that is kind of incredible that they could do it for any amount of time. So this is actually a test to us, to the followers, not to the, we tend to idolize and put people on a pedestal and think, I'm never going to be like that. But if I worship this person, or if I submit to this person, then I may have a chance. And then they see that everyone is kind of in the same dance. Eventually, if you take turns, everybody ends up dancing with the ugly woman, somehow or other. It's not like you're dancing with a beautiful girl and you're gonna walk away with her. It's eventually you're gonna end up dancing with the ugly woman, no matter what happens, because it's a constant switch. The material world, samsara, means you just cycle, you just recycle, and somehow or other, all these tests, they come our way, and we have to actually see them as tests so we can actually perform well. Not like, oh, that's someone else's problem. No, it's always for us to learn. But like when I listen to a class, what's my concern? What's my concern? Am I going to learn anything out of this? Or I'm going to hear someone just spew some verses and repeat the same cliches and slogans that we've been hearing for so long, and there is no realization, there is no personal stories, there is nothing except for, I'm reading this and I'm saying that, which I heard before. We have to learn out of every experience that we go through. There is something, there is a lesson somewhere. So find it. That's how you use your intelligence. So when we see, okay, Lord Brahma had problems, oh boy, that doesn't speak well about our trajectory, really, because that means if Lord Brahma had problems, I'm sure to have to suffer in the same way or worse, much worse, probably. So I have to prepare myself. And what's the duty of the devotee? To, no matter what happens, whether you pass or don't pass, pick yourself up and go for the next lesson and try to do better next time. Don't be discouraged. Everybody fails. Like taking the DMV test to get a driver's license. Who passes on the first attempt? Particularly because hardly anybody studies the manual. So you go sit down and it's all multiple choice. So you hope to put the right answer. And if you get 5 wrong, then you don't get a license. But you have 3, 4, 5 chances to pass it. So you go for the next one. It's not like you end up not driving. You will eventually get there. So we should take our lessons a bit more seriously. We should study the manuals, the Gita, the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. In this vehicle of Krishna consciousness, if you open the glove compartment, you find the scriptures. So just read them and then learn the lessons. And then when it comes, hopefully try to remember and pray so you can remember and you can pass. Because on our own, we have very little strength. We always need help. There is no question. We always need help. And find good association. That is contagious. Bad association is very contagious too. So we should find good association. Good association is unmistakably the key to success.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. The unfortunate thing with us is that it's been proven time and time again that manuals are unfortunately the least read literatures in this world. So even though we could read the manual to understand what we needed to do to live our lives, but because it's the least read, most of us don't read. But I have this question. I should say it was very interesting, at least to me, when you made reference to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada talking about the Buddhists. I was pleasantly surprised to hear that from him. Then I was reminded of one time I had an opportunity to have an interfaith talk in one college in Maryland. I think I once went with Jagannath Prabhu. And there was one Buddhist monk among the panelists. And he gave some explanation I had never heard, I had never thought of it, but it was very interesting. He was saying, sometimes people say the Buddhists believe in voidism, that there's nothing. And he explained, he says, nothing is zero. Nothing is zero. Zero means there's nothing. But in order for you to write zero, you see it's a circle. So even though we say it's nothing, but it's also everything, because it's a circle. And I said, wow, I never thought about it that way. So it's very interesting. Our acharyas are always advising and warning us to be careful, always trying to be holier than we actually are. So I found that to be very interesting. But my question is this, that it is very difficult, it's very, very painstaking to study to become a neurosurgeon. So somebody pays so much money, goes to school, spends so much time to study neurosurgery, only to come to understand that even though you spend all this time, resources to study neurosurgery, you can never become a neurosurgeon. I do not know if any intelligent person will attend such a school. So in our system of this Vaishnava Sampradaya, from Lord Krishna all the way to our A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, all these gurus, when we read about them, they are all pure devotees who just come to teach. They are all pure devotees, they come to teach. So what happens to me, a conditioned soul who's been struggling in this material world years after years, can I also become a guru like Srila Prabhupada, like Bhaktisiddhanta, like Bhakti Vinod, like Jagannath Das Babaji, like Madhavacharya? And if I cannot become, then what is the use of practicing it? So this is my dilemma. This is my question. If all the gurus we have on our line are all pure devotees, that means that only pure devotees, those who are with Krishna, who come here for that particular purpose, can act in that role and nobody else. Then what is the use? Because to me, the purpose of practicing this is not just like become a guru for everybody to know that I'm a guru, but I should have the qualities, I should have the characteristics. There are some people who have the qualities, characteristics, they do not accept the disciples. So that is wonderful. So I'm not saying I want to become a guru, somebody giving me guidance like that, but the qualities that these gurus have, I should be able to cultivate them and then live them. But if all of them are from the spiritual world coming here, then what is the use? So this is my dilemma, and I don't know if you can help me.
I think I can help. Not all people that play sports become Olympic athletes. They don't end up, be shot put, high jump, sprinter, marathon runner, javelin, rugby, volleyball, swimming. People can do that stuff. They don't have to go to the Olympics. They may try, but not everybody's suited. And doesn't mean they won't enjoy doing the sport. That doesn't mean they won't get some sort of recognition. You may be, the best in your neighborhood or the best in your home. Out of your wife and children, you're the best swimmer. So that's good enough. That's your quota. You don't have to become an Olympic athlete. You don't have to win a gold medal. This is there are great personalities and throughout history that they are not part of our parampara. Bamsidas Babaji was not a guru. He would never, he never had, I don't think he had any disciples. Akinchana Das Babaji, another pure devotee, he barely spoke. He just chanted Hare Krishna and did bhajans, played the miranga. A pure devotee, Prabhupada confirmed it. Didn't have disciples, didn't have many followers. There's just in history, some disciples of what was the story of this big Digvijaya Pandit that came to defeat one of our acharyas? I can't remember if it was Rupa Goswami or Narottam Das. The two of the disciples, they disguised themselves. One, they opened two little shops in town. One was selling pan, and the other one, I can't remember what was selling, but he knew that the followers of the Digvijaya will stop in town. And when they approached them to buy some pan, this chewable thing, the merchants started speaking Sanskrit, high Sanskrit, and they were bewildered. I mean, and then they found some other vendor that also, sold vegetables, I think, and also spoke Sanskrit. And they were coming to defeat the big guru. But they said, if this lowly salesmen, are speaking Sanskrit better than we do, and they know the grammar better than we do, what to speak of the big guru? He's going to smash us.
Narottam Das Thakur.
Narottam, yeah. So thank you. So they left town. They left town. So what do you think these two devotees were? I mean, Narottam wasn't pleased because he was humble. So he said, no, let them win. Who cares? Basically, I'll sign anything that said that they won. So, but weren't they pure devotees? Yeah, I'm sure they were. Are they remembered in history? What are their names? Do you know the names? No. I mean, hardly anybody knows. So there are plenty of pure devotees that they didn't achieve this recognition, so-called recognition. That is not part of a deal. I mean, to be part of a parampara, you have to have a certain, certain something. Not everybody has it. It's not necessary. And after Prabhupada, is there going to be anybody in the parampara? Yeah, of course. Are they pure devotees? Yeah, probably. Are they going to be recognized during their lifetime? Probably not. So, and life will go on. Again, recognition is not part of a deal. It's maybe an added attraction if that's what you want. I mean, Lord Chaitanya didn't want people to worship him. That wasn't the mood. So the mood of the acharyas is not to get popularity and win popularity contests and be recognized by everybody and be, have their picture on the altar and everybody's home. That's not the goal of a pure devotee. The goal of a pure devotee is to please Krishna, and somehow or other, not only them, but many, 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 many others have done it. I'm sure if you become pure devotee, if you really become a pure devotee, you really won't be concerned about if you're going to be part of a parampara or not. That would be the least of your concerns. As but that's the goal. The goal is to become a pure devotee. Matter of fact, I even knew that before I joined, because I asked the person who preached to me, what's the goal? What's the goal in Krishna consciousness? And she told me to become a pure devotee. I said, okay, that's it. I want that. So I went to the temple, and the devotees asked me, well, why are you here? I said, because I want to become a pure devotee. And they were shocked. Like, what? Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, forgot. Yeah, that's why we are here too. It's like it didn't gel. And if you take a quick survey of devotees, what's the goal? I don't think many are going to remember that is to become a pure devotee, but that's what it is. Will it take one lifetime? It will take probably more. It'll take more. In most cases, it will probably take more to become pure devotee, but there's no loss of diminution, so you're already on the way. So you're not starting from zero again. At least that's a consolation prize. Everybody wins. They don't all win the big prize. Yeah, there's no Olympic gold for everybody, but eventually, yeah, there's the same reward that you become a pure devotee sometime, and then you go back to Krishna. That's the goal. It's not to stick around and see how many people worship you because you are such a great personality. Yeah. Matter of fact, I find it distracting and annoying to have followers, that you get recognition to the point that people actually seek your advice and association, and they offer you adulation, and they're ready to grovel for you. That's so annoying. It's a horrible feeling, especially if two cases are present. One, you don't deserve it, or two, you do deserve it. In both cases is very annoying. Is actually annoying. Yeah, like for example, I used to when I was a brahmachari, Niranjana Swami used to visit me all the time. He would come once or twice a year and spend time with me. He wouldn't go to the temple. He wouldn't go to the temple. He wouldn't go. He wanted to be with me because he got none of the fanfare and recognition that he got at the temple. That's what he wanted. He didn't want any of that. He didn't want his feet bathed in yogurt. He didn't want garlands around his neck. He didn't want to give class after class and deal with people and all that stuff. He just wanted to be himself. And so the purpose of becoming a pure devotee is not to get the recognition of the Vaishnava community. Is to get the recognition of Krishna. And that may be only visible to Krishna and unto the soul. It doesn't, there are actually great devotees, pure devotees, walking around the earth. And some are indistinguishable from anybody else. I met a very nice devotee in Vrindavan who nobody even knew. I mean, I thought this is a very extraordinary personality. But he was very happy, just living in abject poverty and happy, very happy, and anonymity. Poverty and anonymity, that kind of protected him from pride, as Mukunda Prabhu was pointing out. Yeah, it's because pride is a very creepy thing, and it will just sneak up on you. And sometimes you do things out of pride, and it's a bad decision when we don't use our intelligence properly, and pride kind of kills intelligence, makes you do things completely wrong. So, yeah, be a pure devotee, be anonymous. Krishna will know. And that's all you need.
I mean, I say thank you, one, because you gave a beautiful answer, and then two, because it kind of affirms my thought or belief in what we are doing, that if it were not possible for us to become pure devotees, well, then why would these pure devotees spend so much time, so much energy to teach, train, and cultivate us? So it is a possibility. And that does not only mean that one becomes recognized as this great person, that person with garlands, like you said. In fact, His Grace Brahma Tirtha Prabhu was here about 2 weeks ago, and he shared the same thing with us. There is one guru in our movement today that whenever he is in contact with him, he tries to avoid everybody else, just stays with him, and then says, you know what? This is the best time of my life where I can just be with you and be myself. I'm not okay with all this adoration and garlands and things like that. So I think those who are genuine do not just appreciate to be worshipped, to be glorified, but it is a service, because when we, the conditioned souls, also serve these pure devotees or greater devotees in that way, then we also get the mercy to become Krishna conscious. So I think even though they may not like it, but for the purpose of service, I think it's very necessary for us, the conditioned souls, to offer the garlands and wash their lotus feet and things like that. But I think Harichakra Prabhu has something to ask or to share. Please, you may unmute, Harichakra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam. All glories to Gurudev, all glories to Prabhupada. And all glories to you, SARVATMA Prabhu Ki Jai.
Yeah.
And all glories to the Assembly devotees. Prabhu, yeah, during your lecture, when you were making some reference about how everybody is a Vaishnava, but to a certain degree, we are Vaishnava to a certain degree, that we are covered differently. So I wanted to know, when Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita that everyone follows my path in all respects, the word everyone that is used there, based on what you said, is it okay for me to conclude that the everyone refers to practically every living entity?
People are following their nature, Prabhu. Everybody follows their nature, and Krishna has a plan, and eventually all the rivers end up in the sea. So somehow or other, if they don't go to the spiritual world, they go to the Mahatattva, and they're rinse and repeat, recycle and then put back and given more chances. That's why we disagree with the version, which is not the original version of the Bible about hell being eternal. God could not give an opportunity that will punish people eternally for a theological discrepancy. That is not the nature of God. So we need to actually see that is Krishna's plan, and we can help and follow the plan, or go the indirect way. Like when you go, like let's say, leave your home and you go to a place that you've never been before, so you're driving and you refuse to put the GPS, It may take you a lot longer. You may eventually get there, but you're going to be a little frustrated, irritated, tired. You spend a lot of money in gas because you're stubborn and you refuse to get, put the GPS. So most living entities, they are stubborn like children. You give them a good instruction, and unless they come from their own ideas, they won't follow it. So we should stop acting like children. Yeah, everybody's following Krishna's path in a different way. Like Prabhupada said, Christ is not the only son of God, but he's the obedient one. So it's good to follow someone like that. Does the father love the disobedient son? Yeah. Does he help the disobedient son? Yeah. Does the disobedient son get the same attention that the obedient one? No. Tamsta taiva vajamyaham. Krishna reciprocates accordingly. It's not like he's partial. It's partial to the obedient only because the obedient spends time. He wants to be with the Father. He wants to obey. So that's what we have to understand. The difference is that Krishna will favor those who pay attention to him. And it's not favor, it's just reciprocation. He reciprocates according to what he gets. Krishna really loves everybody equally, but the way he acts with the different living entities is according to what the living entity wants with Krishna. And sometimes we don't want to do business with Krishna because it's painful and reminds us how fallen we are. And if you don't have humility, remembering that you're fallen is painful. And if you're humble, remembering that you're fallen is simply an impetus to get better. That does answer your question, Prabhu?
Yeah, Arichaka Prabhu. Well, I think.
Yes, Prabhu, yes, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much for the questions and, of course, the beautiful answers. Prabhuji, do you have time for one more question? Does anyone have question or something to share? Shriman Mukunda Prabhu, do you have something to share or ask? His Grace Shriman Varaha Acharya, do you have something to ask or to share, please? Yeah, Mukunda Prabhu, you may go.
No, Prabhuji, I was going to defer to Varaha Prabhu. He can go. I had to multitask a little bit, so I didn't catch the gist of something that was on.
Okay. Shriman Varaha Prabhu, you have something to ask or to add?
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem.
All right. Okay. Shri SARVATMA Prabhu, I have this question, probably the last question for today. Is my understanding, this is my understanding, my shallow understanding, is that we humans on earth, we have gross bodies, earth, water, air, fire. Of course, ether, mind, intelligence, ego are there. But constitutionally, we have so much of the gross material, gross elements on this earth planet. Now, if we ascend to the higher planets, the heavenly planets, they do not have gross bodies as we do. They have subtle bodies. And my understanding is that the subtle bodies are made up of the mind, intelligence, and ego. If the bodies are made up of mind, intelligence, and ego, then how do they have same form? Because my mind, my intelligence, my ego, they keep changing. And how does the mind, intelligence, ego die? So how do these beings, like the angels, the devas, who have subtle bodies, how do they have like a fixed body? And how do the bodies die? If the bodies are made up of just the mind, intelligence, ego, not made up of so much earth, water, air, fire. The elements are still there, but it's very, very minute as compared to ours.
I'm
This
not
is my
sure.
imaginative question. I just want to know what's going on other planets. That's why the book that attracted me to Krishna consciousness was Easy Journey to Other Planets. I'm always kind of intrigued to know what's going on other planets.
I'm not sure I can answer with technical certainty of your question. Maybe that's what you want, but even in these gross bodies, we can see the bodies of what are they called? Oh goodness, Portuguese men of war. What are they called? The jellyfish. Jellyfish. Do they have a spine? Nope. Do they have a breathing apparatus? I'm not sure. I mean, some insects literally don't have a brain, and still they exist. They do the same four functions: eating, sleeping, mating, defending, as humans in their very advanced, developed body with a large brain and capacity to understand. So I think is the demigods, and technically I couldn't answer it properly, but the demigods have all the technology at their disposal that even if their bodies are not made out of flesh and bone and cartilage and muscle, they can still manage to manufacture a suitable body that corresponds to their mind, intelligence, and false ego, to the subtlety of it. Just like Prabhupada said that the moon is a heavenly planet, and even if people go there, or the sun, they couldn't, unless they have a body made out of fire, they couldn't exist there. So how can a body of fire, made out of fire, exist? It's, compared to our body could not survive in the sun. But an igneous being, someone made out of fire, is certainly a proper body to inhabit the sun planet. So I don't think that the only bodies, quote unquote, that are available are made out of flesh and bones, or subtle flesh and bones. They must have the technology. They have a technology to bewilder us completely. I think I've said this before. You go to a ride in Universal Studios or Disneyland or Disney World, and you believe you're in outer space, even though you're not moving. You're sitting in a chair in some room with air conditioning, and there's a giant TV surrounding you that makes you believe you're in space and you're moving, and there's all kind of things going on. So imagine the technology that the demigods have, that they can make us see whatever we want to see, whatever they want us to see, and not doubt it for a moment. They have incredible technology, very advanced. How could was it Vasu that had this flying castle city airplane? I mean, there's things that are inconceivable to us.
I think Kardamamuni had something like that.
Yeah, Karnamamuni, but someone else had I think Indra had given Vasu, King Vasu in the Mahabharata, one of these flying fortress, like a city, made out of crystal, so you could see everything, and there's no little windows. It was and it moved at the speed of the mind, et cetera, et cetera. So how can you conceive of something like that? But we think, wait, aerodynamics, how could it go fast if it is shaped like a city? You cannot have, make a jet looking like a station wagon and go fast because of aerodynamics. But yeah, but that's not the laws that apply. The demigods have their own technology. So their bodies, subtle bodies, yeah, just trust that they are better than ours. Still, they're not eternal. They're not made of Satchitananda. So even though they have it better, they really don't. Because the Bhagavatam says that is actually convenient to be in the earth planet because life is short, because there is not too much suffering, not too much pleasure, and it's easier to practice Krishna consciousness that way. Anyway, I cannot offer you any more than that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yes, brother.
Yeah. Yes, Shri Mukunda Prabhu, yes, please, you may go ahead.
Yeah, what happens is that the Atma, of course, is Satchidananda. When there's the influence of the material energy, then two coverings are given to the Atma. One is called the Linga Sharira, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego, as you identified. But the mind, intelligence, and false ego is the housing of a conception of, based on karma, of what kind of earth, water, fire, air, and ether forms around it. So in the third canto of Bhagavatam, it's mentioned karma diving in the trainer janto de papatiye. That's why everybody's fingerprint is individual. I worked in the police department for so many years. Each print is individual because each karmic iteration for each person is actually unique to that person. So earth, water, fire, and air, and ether are grouped around the particular karmic subtle body that you've developed from the previous life. When the spiritual influence starts to take place, the gradual melting, especially of the ahamkara, the false egoism, starts to take place. In the stage at which our perfection starts to come, at that stage, the false egoism is melted away. And now the Atma, which is Satchit Ananda, is suitable to become merged with the spiritual energy, which is composed of three things. It's called Samvit, Landini, and Sandini. So in the first canto Bhagavatam, in the 6th chapter, when Narada Muni is explaining his perfection to Vyas, he quotes one verse, Prayuja Muni Mayi Tvam Sudam Bhagavatim Tanu. In Sanskrit, Tanu means a body. It says, when the time of death came, I completely, Anyapatat Panchabodhika, gave up the body of 5 elements, and my Atma, which was now pure, Prayuj in Sanskrit, the prefix pra means prakrishtarupa, completely huge means almost the same thing as yoga, became completely united with the spiritual energy. So I had a suitable body, a sudim, pure body, for Bhagavat Seva. Sudim Bhagavatim Tanun. Understand? So when we get spiritual impressions, it gives us a spiritual body, and in the material world, a subtle and gross body are imposed on the Atma. In the heavenly planets, they don't get a gross body, but the material conception body, the Linga Sharira, remains with the soul. So they're living the conception with all sensory perception in a subtle body, like we have dreams in. Or even in our conscious state, if we're not sleeping, dreaming, you can have remembrance of your high school days. My body certainly does not look like it did in high school, but you can by mind regenerate that imagery. You understand? So that means that the mind has the power to generate a self-conception and imagery. That's why you see people walking around and the reality of what they look like is one thing, but their self-conception of themselves is different. You understand? Because the housing of your self-identity or self-conception is in the subtle body, and the gross body just forms around it. You understand? I hope that was helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I can relate to that in so many ways, so many times. Because my mind always tells me I am still the same Sahadev, like in my teenage days. I could run. Actually, I was one time washing my house. I was washing the walls, and I was standing on a ladder, and I slipped, and I looked where I was at on the ladder to the ground, and I wasn't too high away. I said, instead of falling, I can just jump. I jumped, and when I hit the ground, I realized that I'm not the same person anymore. But within me, I still feel that I'm the same person, like SARVATMA PRABHU say. Now I am kind of old and I'm carrying all this luggage, climbing these things. If you were in his teenagers, that wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so it's very interesting how all I can say is that this illusory energy of the Lord is just.
And the time factor also depends, because in the heavenly planets, obviously, the influence of time acts differently, but they're not free from the influence of Kal Shakti. So they do have a duration of life and it ends. So though their bodies are not influenced by the influence of time, the termination of that experience is influenced by the influence of time. So they can't keep that heavenly body just ongoing.
It's a reward. That's what the planet, this heavenly planets are. It's a reward. It's like a timeshare. You're given the key for a beautiful apartment, and there's another guy coming. It may take a while, but eventually you have to pack your stuff and get the hell out.
Yes.
I wanted to tell you, Sahadev, before I go, that the other day, maybe a week and a half ago, I had a dream where you were giving a class, and I don't remember what the class was about. I mean, it was Krishna conscious. And then all of a sudden I heard Prabhupada's voice. He was there. He was present, listening to your class. And he said, let's have a little darshan now. And then everybody turned and went to see the deities. That was impressive that you gave class in front of Prabhupada.
Well, Prabhuji, I don't understand dreams, but I've heard that sometimes certain people we kind of have some love for may appear in our dreams, but in actuality, they are not the actual people. So I think you were seeing some great personality.
There is a difference. There is a difference when there is someone of the stature of Srila Prabhupada. That's a spiritual dream. That's not an ordinary dream.
Well, pray for me. That's all I can say, big brother. Pray for me. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute. We thank you all. We've been here for almost 2 hours. Somehow Guru Krishna, they're blessing us so much to have us names, and also the Vaishnava Association. We don't take that for granted at all. We also appreciate His Grace Sriman Mukunda Prabhu stopping by to share his transcendental energy, love, and wisdom with us. And of course, our precious speaker is Grace SARVATMA Prabhu, who came in to share his love and wisdom with us. And all of you, great Vaishnava devotees, we very much appreciate. Tomorrow, by Shri Guru Krishna's grace, we will have some beautiful announcement to share with you all. So please come in. You know how we say all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees? So if you are not part of the assembled Vaishnava devotees, then you may not get the blessings. So try to be here tomorrow for this special announcement. With that being said, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all with one heart, love, chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation and gratitude to our beloved speaker, His Grace Sarvatma Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Pancha
Hare,
Kalpa
Pancha
Tarubhascha, Kripa
Kalpatarubyascha,
Sindhu
Kripa
Vacha,
Sindhubhyascha,
Nitanam Bhavanebhyo
Nitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namo Namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to His Grace Sarvatma Prabhu Ki Jai. All glories to Jagat Purusha Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the Assembled Vaishnava devotees Ki Jai.
Jai.